Hello everyone, we are back again. Welcome to Disruption Diaries, where we break down the stories of businesses that shape our daily world. I am Shantanu and I am here with my co-host Jinal. Today we are diving into Lenskart, from its founding in 2010 to becoming a $6 billion company right now and a market leader in the eyewear industry in India. We'll discuss its founding, its journey, the business model and so much more. So stay tuned and say hi to my co-host Jinal.
Hello, everyone, and hello, Shantanu. Very excited to discuss Lenscart in depth today. And honestly, it's just for quite a few reasons, right? First is my personal connection. I have been wearing glasses for more than 20 years now, and sometimes like really funky ones, purple, pink frames. Ask my husband, Arjun, he always has lots of opinions on my spectacles. I actually checked my Lenskart order history for this podcast and I saw that the first pair of glasses that I ordered from them was on October 15, 2013, like a good 12 years back. They were these pink frame, rimless Vincent Chase pair of glasses. Wait for it, only for 650 rupees. The spectacles plus lens at a power of, I think, minus 2.5 and minus 3 for each of the eye. Any optician at that point of time would like approximately charge me around 4 to 5,000 rupees easily for this pair of glasses, right? I paid only 650 rupees. Since then, I have bought like about 10 pairs of glasses from both their website and online store. My most recent order actually was last year in September 2024. And that time I actually converted Arjun, my husband, who you know so well as well, and who is a staunch Titan loyalist, to actually try and buy a pair of glasses from Lenskart. He wasn't very confident on their lenses, so he got the lenses done from Titan, but the spectacles themselves he bought from Lenskart because it was just so affordable. Their selection was great. The product assortment, he had so many options to look at. So he, I think, is a convert now. More than the personal, there's also a professional reason. I think if there's one company that I wish I had worked at about like 10 years ago, I think that would be Lenskart. So let me explain why, right? I'm saying this. First, there is a larger purpose to this business. It's not only here to sell goods, but actually help people see better, be more productive. And we know the thumb of the rule of thumb is that 70% of adults need corrective lenses to see well. So almost everyone currently today wears glasses or has worn glasses at some point in their lives. So this company has actually nailed creating an online business in one category, which has a very complex supply chain. They've executed really well, become a category leader in the last sort of 10, 12 years. And slowly, not only in India, but gaining recognition across the world, which is quite commendable. And from glasses sort of being a necessity about 10 years ago, it's actually now marketed as a fashion accessory, right? This is a big change. So wearing glasses has now become cool. Remember Shahid Kapoor in Jab We Met, right? And they've made many right calls. So I'm actually quite excited to discuss how they've cracked this market. And finally, of course, this timing is perfect. It's been in the news last few weeks as it's preparing for its IPO, apparently valued at about $10 billion, pretty big. And the DRHP is supposed to, the draft red herring prospectus is supposed to be out in May 2025. So we should definitely then do a follow-up again. But I'm excited to currently discuss the company and its journey.
So it's kind of ironic if you think that Lenskart was actually not a result of perfect vision of the founder, right? It was a case of multiple iterations done by the founder Piyush. Right. He started off maybe his career after graduation with Microsoft, and he came back and launched the company Value Technologies with Search My Campus as the first business portal back in 2007. It was just a classified site for students that provided options for accommodations, books, part-time jobs, carpooling and internship. Then in 2009, he started off with Flyer, which was pretty similar to what Lenskart is right now, but with the crucial difference of selling it only to US customers. And they sold glasses, spectacles, etc., like they do now. This was successful, they were raking in some revenue, but they had very little control over the user experience, end user experience. And that is when he tried to replicate the model for India, and thus Lenskart was born. Lenskart first started selling contact lenses. Over the next few months, gradually dabbled into sunglasses and spectacles in India. In 2011, their investors, IDG Ventures, directed the company to actually start selling wristwatches, bags, jewelry online to replicate the entire Titan company's business model. So the company launched watchcart.com, bagcart.com, and the following year jewelscart.com. Each company was a specific online marketplace for brands that existed offline, and these marketplaces would provide great variety, transparent pricing, and doorstep delivery, as was the norm back then in the early days of Flipkart in India and e-commerce in India, right? And how all these business folded and only Lenskart survived is also a very interesting story. So actually there is an interesting story here where Ronnie Screwvala of UTV and Upgrad fame, he actually called in Piyush Bansal for breakfast one morning in Mumbai, and Piyush had gone there, and the question was to Bansal, what does he want to focus in, right? And he asked him, rather than to focus on 4 or 5 multiple lines of businesses, he should tune down his focus into one specific business line. And Piyush there said that he feared that if he did that, many investors may not back him. And that is where Ronnie Screwvala said that he need not worry about anyone else. He would back him if other investors backed out. So by end of 2014, only Lenskart.com remained operative. He shut down all the other business lines, right? The 3 websites, and thus the business vision of Piyush and the business was clarified, and they focused only on eyewear, and Lenskart actual journey started from there.
Pretty interesting. I actually can't imagine what the trajectory would have been if they hadn't focused only on Lenskart and there was Watchcart, Bagcart, Jewelcart. I'm actually glad that Ronnie Screwvala sort of helped the team focus on one and really nail it. Very few investors you see like that. And I think Ronnie Screwvala is one of those legendary ones, right? Who's repeatedly shown how to sort of build businesses and take it, from like 0 to 10,000, not only 0 to 1. Yeah. But let's actually talk about the co-founders. No company is able to scale without that original founding team, right? Piyush Bansal, of course, is no stranger to the public eye. He is the CEO of Lenskart, very famous as the judge of Shark Tank. And I must say he comes across actually the most balanced of the lot. One of the most famous episodes that has Piyush Bansal at his peak personality is that of Jugadu Kamlesh. Listeners, if you haven't sort of seen it, you should watch it.
Oh, I love that episode. And that's also kind of parallel how Ronnie Screwvala took care of Piyush when he said that I will be there when everyone else backs out. So when everyone other sharks back out, Piyush Bansal comes into the fore and supports Jugadu.
Yeah. Yeah, this small farmer from Malegaon who Piyush has funded, not for any fancy like economic returns, but genuinely because he wanted to support local entrepreneurship. In fact, I heard in an interview where Piyush also mentioned that his favorite shark from Shark Tank US fame is Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban, who as a billionaire that we know, his philosophy actually to be a judge on Shark Tank US was not to make any high returns. In fact, he mentioned that he's actually losing money being a shark, but it was to support entrepreneurship at large in the US. So that's the sort of mental model with which Piyush is also operating with. Sort of a little bit background on Piyush. You mentioned he sort of studied in Canada, worked at Microsoft for a brief time in the US. I won't go into a lot of detail because there's plenty available online. But something that's very interesting is Piyush has been very vocal from the onset about how Bill Gates has been his idol. And very early in his career, there was this moment as part of his sort of internship where he went to Gates' house. And that was his key sort of life changing moment where he realized that he wants to solve large problems and at scale, just like Bill Gates solved the problem of having every PC in every household. Lenskart wants to make sure that every person who needs spectacles or corrective lenses has that. And that's the way he's sort of been operating. So Bill Gates has been his hero. His friend Amit Chaudhary, the CEO of Lenskart, is a close friend and also the co-founder. And he's actually the backbone of Lenskart. He's the technology and operational backbone. He was instrumental in actually aggressive offline expansion of Lenskart, which is why it is what it is today, establishing more than 2,000 crore stores across India and some other countries that we'll cover soon. He has a background in computer science from BITS Mesra. He, in fact, has been vocal about another idol of him. So he has a small LinkedIn post, which you should actually check out, where he mentions Ratan Tata as his idol and how he had read this book on business Maharajas way back in the first year of his college. And that changed his life and that got him into entrepreneurship. The third co-founder that is very instrumental in the sort of founding journey is Sumit Kapahi. He joined them in 2011, about a year after Lenskart was founded, and he has been responsible for the supply side. He's actually the retail brainchild for Lenskart because prior to Lenskart, he was in a business development role at Luxottica Eyewear. This is the company behind brands like Ray-Ban, right? So he understood the nuts and bolts of this complex eyewear industry. He's no longer very active with the company, but he was instrumental in bringing it to where it is today.
Great, that sounds like a tough journey for both of them through their own ideals, right? One thing that I found really interesting is that he was actually, as an intern, went to Bill Gates' house. I was not aware that Microsoft also does that, where interns can go to their founders' house, or home or office, just to meet them, right?
Maybe back then, I doubt anymore, but yeah, it'll be life-changing.
Great. So let's now understand a little bit more about the eyewear industry and how Lenskart operates in it. So the eyewear industry in general consists primarily of prescription glasses and casual wear that we all know we wear very frequently, right, on our day-to-day lives. So India, despite having more than 33,000 opticians along the length and breadth of the country, 29,000 of them are only single stores. So these are the local mom and pop stores that where you go in, you order your glasses, you have them checked, your eyesight, you then order the glasses, he then gets it manufactured somewhere, and then he, after 7 to 10 days, he gets it delivered or asks you to come and collect it from his store, right? So in spite of all this, there is a large Indian population that don't have access to eyewear solutions, right? And it is primarily because it's a very complex supply chain that has resulted in this disorganized market structures. One parallel can be how we think about agriculture supply in India, right? So in these circumstances, Lenskart has tried to carve a special place for itself, right? It has tried to organize as much as possible and then scale its business into tier 3 and tier 2 cities, right? So the key drivers or how to look into the entire eyewear industry is primarily by looking into what are the drivers of growth here. So one is there is a huge population demand, as we said, as Jinal alluded in his in our introduction, right? Nearly 70% of the adults do require or have worn eyewear in their life or need to wear it as they age, right? So with 1.4 or 5 billion population of India, that is roughly around 600 million people needing corrective lenses. So there is a huge demand for this. And then there is also changing lifestyle. with rapid urbanization, many youngsters do want to try out eyeglasses that are funky, that keep them, that make them look cool around, right? So they still want to use as much as possible. But as with any industry in India, the top 2 to 3 players only dominate the organized sector. And in this case, it's Lenskart now that has built itself into such a big player. Apart from it, Titan is another big player. And then there is a long tail that caters to the unorganized sector. So the entire challenge right now for Lenskart is to dive deep into this market segment and enter into the tier 3, tier 4 cities and villages in India and provide as many people as possible who require these glasses with a solution.
Yeah, it's and they're quite well positioned to do this. Piyush Bansal himself has often said that he wants to be the Maruti of eyewear in India. And you know how Maruti made cars so affordable and ubiquitous in India, right? So the vision to of Lenskart is actually to make eyewear as ubiquitous. Lenskart purpose is obviously extends beyond just selling eyewear, and it's been very vocal about this. The company says that it wants to revolutionize the way people see and experience the world by providing high quality, affordable eyewear solutions. It aims to transform how people engage with eyewear with the vision to help people do more and be more. That sounds actually quite heavy, but it's also the right way of thinking, right? A vision beyond just doing daily business. And it achieves this with focus on eye care, and today is India's largest eyewear brand. I couldn't find very much about like values on its website, but there are some underlying principles which have been sort of listed very upfront. One is innovation, two is its customer centric approach, and three is quality and affordability. So what does this mean, right? Innovation, the company has as its founding team technologists, right? So it's not only in the business of retail but uses advanced technology like robotic systems to ensure precision in its products. Customer centric approach, they actually made this omni-channel wave more popular and were the first to dabble in this. Very early on, they had free optometry services, try at home options. So they've really been experimenting, and that's partly why they're so successful. And of course, we've talked about affordability and quality. Lenscart gives its products at a very affordable price to make it accessible to a large audience. So they are like these mass products, but still you won't associate it with cheap quality. They've been investing in technology to make sure that the quality is not compromised. One thing that we found, Shantanu, very remarkable, which we should definitely sort of discuss, is how it has an employee recognition section which is updated very frequently, I think about 2 to 3 weeks, on their website itself. So anyone listening can actually check it out. It's called Meta Stars, above the fold on its website and app, very similar to what you'll see as Employee of the Month in many offline stores, but I have never seen this in an online store, and it's actually quite cool. And from the looks of it, it seems like it's an endorsement from the leadership team itself. There are 6 employees featured on this page. I'll give you an example, right? There is Sandesh Mohan Das, who has achieved 151% of his iframe target, and therefore he's on Meet Our Stars page. This is definite bragging rights for Sandesh and his family. It's like this endorsement recognizing the front line and its work, and that's why the company is successful.
Yeah, I really found it exciting to understand that there are such kind of rewards and recognitions within Lenscart itself. So while offline recognitions can help motivate an employee, such kind of online can also give you a footprint and bring you in notice of more than millions of people who visit your website traffic every day, right? So that's kudos for doing something like that, and I can only fathom the remarkable operational requirement that it would need to keep it updating every week or every 2 weeks, right? Gather data. So kudos to Lenscart for that. And while you alluded to them keeping their costs low, right, or their the price is low. We will later on understand how they're able to do this. But first, I just wanted to quickly touch base upon how truly omni-channel they are, right? How they seamlessly integrate between the offline and online worlds. They have, we understood, nearly 2,500 stores in and around the world, 2,000 of them in India. But they actually started off as a mobile-first app, and they give this truly omni-channel experience to their customers, who can first try out on their website or on their app exactly what kind of glasses they need, how it will look on them. So Lenskart, as we know, offered virtual reality try-on feature as early as 2018, if I remember correctly. And customers on their mobile apps can go in, try how various eyewear frames will look on their face using this VR technology, as well as for the people at home, they had this try at home service that enabled customers to try eye frames at home prior to making any kind of purchases. So this strong emphasis on customer service and ease of use, and providing a number of novel features, actually makes it much easier for its clients and customer base to shop. So, and Jinal, why don't you talk about your experience of this amalgamation of offline and online of Lenskart?
Yeah, we should definitely talk about their customer experience, and it's very evident how much focus the company plays on this. In fact, this Lenskart at home innovation, right? This is from its early days back in 2013, which included eye checkups and purchases at home. So that was one of the key reasons why a lot of investors also came on board. So it definitely doesn't operate like any traditional retailer, this company, and it's evident it's because of some of the technology background of the founders. In fact, even merchandising of every offline store, I read, is based on the browsing patterns on the online store in that area, and hence it's different in each locality. So a Lenskart store is essentially a showroom, right? Like, it's a showroom basis what people are looking at and interested in that area. There's no inventory in any store. Think of it like auto sales, right? In any locality. That's how they're selling spectacles. So when the other thing that's interesting is actually when a customer enters the store, and similarly we've experienced this, is they request the phone number immediately. This helps determine the sales associate to immediately know what is the chance of conversion of that customer, and accordingly do that sales pitch. So they are thinking about the whole retail process from the onset at outset, and when the customer enters the store. You also have the retailer with because they've asked you for your phone number with your past purchase history, so they know what you will like, what you will not like. What we've read is, because of the tech foundation, right? The marketing, communication, product manufacturing, pricing strategy, logistics, all different facets of its business are extremely sort of AI ML driven, and that's how they've been able to bring down their cost. The NPS score is for Lenskart is 80. Now, this is one of the highest in the industry and has risen from about 65 a few years ago. The global average for tech companies' NPS score is 35. So this is more than double the score of the average. Anything above 70 is considered exceptional. Tesla, for example, is 97. On a personal note, I actually bought Lenskart the first time back in 2013, because back then I was sold on how affordable this was and their marketing tactic, right? I had one free frame and I had to pay only from lenses. So very initially they realized the way to encourage trials and make money is on the lenses. Give people free frames and get them on board first. And since then, I've bought like 1-2 pairs every year, because I realize I am actually quite clumsy with my specs and they often break, which I am sure is the case with most customers. So paying 4,000-5,000 rupees for a pair of specs which breaks every year causes a lot of heartburn. Now I don't really feel bad about it because it's quite affordable. we've already spoken about sort of AR, VR that Lenskart has used, and most companies have not been able to crack it as well as Lenskart, in my opinion, right? You've seen the use of AR for furniture, for example, by IKEA. Some people use it for marketing tactics, but this is like AI technology on the app that allows customers to try on different frames virtually. So they don't really feel the need to go to a store. And this is pure convenience, right? You can still see how a specs is likely to look on you using AR. And in fact, more recently, there is also this provision of mobile vision correction technology on its app, which is essentially an exam that customers can conduct at home. And it's had more than 20 million plus downloads for this particular exam. So there's this need for constant product innovation. It actually made blue lens rays and zero power computer glasses extremely popular, especially during COVID and when that gaming cycle really took off in India. So a colleague I met that I was speaking to a few days back, who's done his LASIK, also wears zero power computer glasses just to protect himself from the laptop screen. So they've made just eyeglasses, lenses extremely important for different use cases, from computer to gaming to just a fashion accessory.
I just have a couple of comments on that. Jinal, thank you for elaborating on it so beautifully. One, I find it a bit creepy if someone comes ahead, I enter a store and they just ask me for my phone number or anything. While I know it helps them gather a lot of useful information about us, but maybe in India, where we are not very privacy focused, that's okay. But as they try to scale abroad, this kind of tactics might actually freak people out as to why should I give my personal number to anyone, right? And while NPS numbers all around are used as a standard metric to understand how well a customer service of a company is, I find, because there is no standardized approach to when it should be taken or how it should be taken, these numbers comparing across industries might not be really valid, because we all know Tesla's 97 number, as you quoted, might be just due to Elon Musk and his own popularity, right? But I understand every company brags about this. Even the companies we work in, they brag about it, that the NPS numbers are super strong. So we will have to, for now, go ahead with these numbers itself. So now let's dive briefly into how Lenskart manages to keep its cost so low. So one of the key factors here is that it actually is a full stack manufacturer. It owns the complete supply chain, right from bringing in the glasses, blanks, building them to the prescription that is required and selling it to the customer, rather than just being a retailer who procures from other brands and then sells them by labeling or white labeling them or by private labeling them. So they don't do that actually. So what they have, two big factories coming up in India. One is already a state-of-the-art facility in Bhiwandi, and the second one is coming up in Telangana, Hyderabad actually. So they have designed to integrate all aspects of the eyewear production here. It's a completely manufacturing progressive lenses, right, which is actually a very water intensive process. So they also look into the environmental norms and they use recycled water in their facilities. This factory in Bhiwandi actually starts off by using a blank and then cutting it via a tool to the prescription of the customer, then polishing it, engraving it, cleaning it, and finally putting across a protective coating, as Jinal was talking about, let's say a blue coating protection or something of that sort, before they send it out to the retail stores or to deliver via online deliveries, right? So they use technology heavily. They leverage across all facets of their operations, be it in the stores or be it in manufacturing. They have machines, very capable machines from Switzerland and Germany, assisting them in the entire process. So this is how they have tried to keep a very close control over the quality as well as the costs, because they actively try to bring out more and more technology in these aspects to give a superior experience to the customer in the eyewear.
Yeah, I mean, there are some great videos that listeners should definitely look at on YouTube on the Lenscart's channel, where Piyush Bansal himself talks about the manufacturing process in their marquee plant in Bhiwadi in Rajasthan, right? This is 7-8 years. So from the onset, they have like really invested in production, which helps to keep costs low, maintain quality, gives them high operating leverage. So any other competitor has this huge barrier to entry while coming into this complex supply chain industry.
And to add that they are building the one in Hyderabad at a budget of about 1500 crores, which is going to be the largest greenfield eyewear project manufacturing anywhere in the world. So it's just getting started for Lenskart on these aspects.
Yeah, I can't wait to see how it sort of takes off. Talk about Make in India, right? And this makes sense. Now, I actually want to talk about how it's catering to the premium segment as well, right? In 2017, they launched the eyewear brand John Jacobs to cater to this premium segment. And it's a very interesting story on how they operate in this space. So the company saw that there was this white space in the glasses segment to create a strong brand similar to Ray-Ban and sunglasses. Spectacles really doesn't have a very strong brand. And John Jacobs is a brand that they sort of have incubated to address this white space. The name of the brand itself is actually quite an interesting story. Not a result of something fancy, with 20 options from a marketing agency. It was actually very simple, inspired by John Lennon, who wore these iconic glasses, right? And the other John is John Jacob Bosch, the founder of Bosch and Lomb and the inventor of soft contact lenses, which is what we know today. So both of this John Jacobs is the brand that was incubated. The collection under this brand actually includes a wide array of both eyeglasses and sunglasses, and the designs are supposed to be extremely stylish, targeted as a lifestyle brand. In fact, even they operate under a different CEO. And Piyush actually talks about how they didn't want the Lenscart culture to seep into John Jacobs. So therefore, when you for instance, when you enter Louis Vuitton, right, you are catering to a premium customer. They wanted that similar culture to be the vibe for John Jacobs' team. So it's very different from sort of the young hustle experiment culture at Lenscart, where employees will come to office in shorts. John Jacobs actually operates on a different flow where no Lenscart employee is allowed to go in, and that's how they maintain that premiumness across. They try to, at least. Sometimes, obviously, there will be some fluidity between the two, but at least they've been intentional about it. I also want to talk a little bit about marketing, right? There has been some crazy creative marketing that Lenscart has done, which is not straight out of the book. So they first introduced free glasses to encourage trials. I already told you about my personal story. The other story, I think around 2017, 2018, was when they launched the app. There were 1 million odd downloads, and they incentivized the customers to sync their contact directory. Refer and Earn is the program that they said, which actually gave them a huge lead pool. Apparently 200 million referrals were done during this time due to contact syncing. It broadly also showed in their output revenue numbers, where they grew some 200% year on year in that year. I don't think because of privacy concerns this would be allowed today, but it's genius, right? How do you get these lead pools? It's also had several brand ambassadors, the first one being Katrina Kaif. Then there's Bhuvan Bam of YouTube fame. More recently, you would have seen the Karan Johar and Kiara Advani ads. And it's very interesting why they did this, right? Katrina Kaif was their first brand ambassador. I think in October 2017 is when they signed her. And that helped them really position eyewear as a fashion accessory more than a functional one, right? Then Bhuvan Bam, they hired this YouTube sensation to actually appeal to the youth. And you know how influencer marketing had taken off early 2018, 2019. So it actually helped them position as a young brand. Finally, Karan Johar and Kiara Advani, that are currently featured in most of their ads, are quite funny and trendy. This is what the brand aims to be. So that really kind of helps the company cement its position not only as a brand, but as a youthful, fun-loving brand. They have faltered as well. Not all their marketing has been good. For example, in 2015, around the time of the terrible Nepal earthquake, it rolled out this campaign where it said, "Shake it off like this earthquake. Get any Vincent Chase glasses up to rupees 3,000, flat for rupees 500." This created a massive backlash for the companies, where they called the company sort of insensitive, shame on Lenscart. But to the company's benefit, they actually sent out an SMS back then apologizing for this choice of words. And, any marketing machine can actually falter, right? Another thing worth mentioning, which the company actually does pretty well, is they do a lot of collaborations to make eyewear cool and take advantage of seasonal trends. For example, they had this Blue Billion collective in 2023 during our World Cup. In Chinese New Year and to cater to its Southeast Asia market, they had this bubble tea and Chinese New Year collection. And this lean supply chain, because of this in-house manufacturing, lets them do at least 2 to 3 collaborations, collectives in a month, test it out, see what the market reaction is, and therefore flexibly and elastically scale its production. So inventory is centrally managed, which is why they don't need to sort of roll out so many collections to every store, but test it out.
Yeah, you rightly pointed out, in this age of viral marketing, many companies actually try to send out and use any event for their own marketing purposes, right? And some of them will definitely go wrong. So it all boils down to how easily or how well do you manage the backlash that you get in case one of your marketing actually campaigns fail. So I think kudos to Lenscart there for having done a really good job. And since then, I don't think there have been any serious backlashes against them. They have managed their image really well in front of the customers and in front of the audience. So let's look into how that is translating into actually revenue numbers. While we don't have the revenue for the financial year that just ended few days ago, but for FY24, they actually recorded a very impressive 43% year-on-year growth to land more than 5,600 crores in revenue. And that split was across both international as well as Indian geography. So they have international expansion in Japan, Singapore, Taiwan, Thailand, etc., which raked in around 40% of this revenue, while India contributed close to about 60%, right? And the costs also, while substantially increasing to about 5,500 crores, they did manage to almost break even at about a net loss of minus 10 crores after accounting for ESOPs cost. On a profitability basis, I'm very confident that maybe this is the year where they actually turn out a complete profit, accounting for the ESOPs cost, which should be well positioning them for the upcoming IPO in few months, right? So and in terms of this revenue, it actually comes in from a variety of blend of offline stores. So they have both franchisee owned stores as well as company operated stores. So they call it FOCO and COCO. COCO is company owned, company operated model, and FOCO is franchisee owned and company operated. So they don't necessarily completely franchise it out. They have learnt their lessons the hard way. They are right now focused only primarily on operating company owned and company operated model, which can give them a better, bigger share of the revenue and profitability, as well as which can help them build brand consistency by maintaining uniform pricing and customer experiences across the outlets, right? And one other thing, Jinal, that I wanted to also point out why Lenskart is actively avoiding FOCO is because this direct ownership allows the rapid scaling of experimentation via tech-driven solutions like robotic manufacturing or home eye tests. So this is how I think Lenskart is going to move forward in the tier 3, tier 4 cities as well. They might try out in certain areas through FOCO where franchisee actually build in the retail outlets or something of that sort, but it is completely operated by them. But in most cases, they should be focusing primarily on the COCO model, which gives them a bigger wallet share where they manage the daily operations as well as keep the entire funding as well as profit to themselves.
Got it. Very interesting how they've sort of built this offline presence through first trying it out FOCO, now mainly focusing on a company-owned, company-operated or COCO model. 5,000 crores, not a small number. Pretty impressive, right? 48% year-on-year growth. With the sort of focus on FCF and free cash flow. I'm sure the numbers that will come in there soon to be released, draft red herring prospectus should be interesting, and we should definitely link that once we get access to it.
Yeah, they're eyeing a $10 billion valuation, right? So even if they are looking for a revenue multiple of 12, they should definitely end somewhere north of 6,500 to 7,000 crore range this year. Ideally, let's wait for the numbers.
And the market is not small, right, Shantanu? It operates in this $200 billion global eyewear market. India itself is worth about 10 billion, growing at about 10 to 15% per year. And this space is actually not very crowded if you come to think of it, right? We've not seen many startups here. One, because it's a very complex business. Distribution chain is quite complex. The supply chain is very complex. So to tap into this opportunity for other startups is going to be a little hard. Also, Lenskart has been doing a few things to cement its position also in terms of acquisition. For example, the 2022 acquisition of the Japanese eyewear brand One Day for $400 million, not a small amount, right? This is a big one, not only in terms of the actual amount of the acquisition, but expanding its global reach. Today, it operates, I think, about 70 stores in Singapore, 300 to 400 in other Southeast Asian countries like Thailand, Indonesia, Philippines, Malaysia. Also has presence in UAE. So it's really poised to become this global Indian brand, and I think one of the first few to be that. Interestingly, in mid-2023, it also made a $4 million investment in this French brand, Le Petit Lunetier. I'm not sure if I've pronounced this correctly, but please pardon my French. Why they did this? It is because of the brand's up-and-coming status and design expertise, which when combined with Lenskart's distribution network would actually make it this fashion-forward brand that audiences will and customers will aspire to buy into, right? So this would also help this company, which is Lenskart, to expand into Europe and the Western world. So they've been thinking about this quite strategically. The last recent acquisition that they've made that made the news is this AI computer vision startup called Tango Eye, based out of Chennai. This company actually converts visual data from CCTV cameras for actionable insights to retailers. So Lenskart has really utilized visual AI technology to enhance both its store as well as the product experiences. Sharp thinking, and no doubt it's building for the future.
Yeah, absolutely. And while they build on the future, I feel Piyush Bansal hasn't lost the vision or why he started this, right from when he sat on that breakfast with Ronnie Screwvala. He said that his mission was to actually help people and make eye care more accessible to Indians and particularly the children, and eradicate refractive error-based blindness completely, right? So that was the mission. And in line with this, actually they launched two institutions. One is called the Lenskart Foundation in 2020 during the pandemic, and then a Lenskart Academy in late 2023, right? Now the foundation is actually focused on providing access to eye care, particularly children, right? And the academy is focused on training more and more retail professionals and optometrists who can then maybe go into deeper tier 3, tier 4 cities and help more and more Indians, right? So, and then the aim is to build more than 150 child eye care centers in the next 2 years for the Lenscart. And such kind of devotion to the mission over money actually makes me cheer for Lenscart even more, and for the success even more, because it's not only about raking in the revenue, it's also about helping people, because eye care is such a emotional and basic need of so many Indians that many people don't have, right? So I am definitely rooting for Lenskart success here. Why don't you talk about how the competition is also looking into this entire space?
Yeah, I mean, before coming to competition, actually, when you talk about Lenscart Academy and its sort of social responsibility initiatives, reminds me of the influence Bill Gates had as his idol, right? Like with Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. I think Piyush Bansal is on that path too. I'm glad. I mean, the world needs more such leaders. So I'm glad.
Maybe without the divorce.
I mean, everyone's personal life is different. Let's not get into that. But anyway, let's talk about competition. So key competitors of Lenscart in India are Titan Eye Plus, and world over it is companies like Warby Parker in the US, Ray-Ban, and of course Eyewear, which is fast growing in the Middle East, and I'll come to that. First, about Titan Eye Plus. Very interesting story. In fact, Ratan Tata was one of the seed investors in Lenscart back in about 2016, I think. And today, Lenscart is the biggest competitor for Titan. Titan focuses on premium eyewear, and Lenscart's growth has actually outpaced this traditional retailer by 5x. Its revenues, Titan's revenues are about 700 crores versus like 5,000 plus crores for Lenscart. Titan has more than 1,000 stores across about 200 to 300 cities, very similar to Lenscart operating in 200 cities, but more than 3 times the number of stores. Another Indian competitor is Specs Maker, which is South India's largest retail optical chain, founded in 2007 by Mr. Shah, with about 300 odd stores across Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Andhra, and Telangana. So these are the main competitors in India, but as we know, Lenscart is not only an Indian brand, it wants to be a global brand. Globally, Warby Parker was a brand that started around the same time as Lenscart, founded in 2010 in the US by Wharton MBA graduates. One of the more famous ones being Neil Blumenthal, and Andrew Hunt. There were 4 graduates who started it, who were frustrated with high prices and limited options in the eyewear market. Its revenue is about 670 million, or roughly 5,000 crores, very similar to Lenscart, but the pricing obviously is very, very different, right? US to India. So Lenscart's definitely bigger. Its footprint, though, is a lot smaller. They operate about 270 brick and mortar stores and focused only in the US and Canada, versus Lenscart having more than 2,000. Another one worth discussing is definitely Eyewear, which is one of the fastest growing global retailers based out of Dubai. In fact, the business news portal Morning Context has a very good feature on this that I encourage people who have the subscription to go and read it. This is a young 8-year-old startup that first started with third-party brands like Ray-Ban, Gucci, etc., but very fast developed its own brands. And today it has created about 10 brands, which actually contribute to 95% of its business. It has about 15% estimated market share in the MENA, which is the Middle East, North Africa region, and recently received a $100 million investment from General Atlantic. We don't know enough information about its revenues because it's still a private company, but at least the founder has said that it is profitable and growing at over 50% year on year. It operates about 150 plus stores in the region and plans to open at least 100 more in 6 countries, including Qatar, in this 2025 year. So yeah, lots of emerging competition in this space, but I think Lenscart's in a good position.
Yeah, definitely, it's in a good position, but I still foresee few challenges for them because I feel primarily that the company has been able to build for India, and there is still a big market in India which is called Bharat, which is the tier 3, tier 4 cities where they need to penetrate, and that is where the long tail of single stores is actually there. How do they extend their presence into these markets profitably is going to be a big challenge for them in the coming years. Uh, they have tried through the franchisee mode, but they have learned their lessons through it, and they are slowly and steadily trying to move away from it into company operated models, company owned and company operated models. That may be a very capital intensive, specifically for the tier 3, tier 4 cities that they are looking into, right? So, achieving the scale that Piyush Bansal actually is looking for, an impact that is actually looking for in terms of 1.5 billion Indians. How do they achieve it is something that I feel will be a big challenge for Lenskart and the exec committee there. While they expand, right, the customer service will also be quite questionable. How do they manage to do this? Because till now they have been impeccable there. They pride themselves on the NPS, as you said. But going forward in tier 3, tier 4 people, where people sprung apart and the systems may not be at 100% or completely digitized, how do they go ahead and build it will be also one of the key challenges, right? And finally, the product, I feel, for the growth, because eyewear technically does not feature as a very frequent purchase for each user, right? So if they want, how do they increase the fashion accessory side of things, or how do they make people buy more and more types of glasses coming in? There are smart glasses coming in which they are actively investing in. How can they compete with the international smart glasses which Meta and Ray-Ban are bringing in across, or how competitive they are in terms of pricing? I think that will enable them to grow forward in terms of their business in the coming years.
Yeah, my favorite question, right? Like, what is the future of this business? I think it's twofold. I mean, one is they have to expand, right? There's a big market out there. Eyewear is the strength of this business, and that singular focus on cracking and nailing this market is actually its key strength. So they need to expand both within India for this Bharat of India that you call it. Need to expand fast. I think offline will be the model of expansion there. Southeast Asia expansion has been on the cards. They need to penetrate this market a lot faster and win in this market. And of course, then gradually go and win in the Western world as well. The second thing after expansion is its IPO. Set to file its papers in about May. And yeah, let's see how that goes. It may happen at a discount, but Lenskart shares have been in demand amongst new and existing investors. So I'm actually very curious to see how this IPO plays out. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, let me summarize why I like it and what makes Lenskart stand out in the market, right? First of all, they have a wide range of products. They offer extensive variety of eyewear items, which included eyeglasses, shades, contact lenses, right? They even do eye testing for free if you are there, right? And they have very reasonable costs because they own their entire manufacturing processes, right? And they have innovative features in terms of business model, in terms of customer acquisition, be it through the app or through AR eye testing or through home testing as well. And finally, they have this bit about social responsibility in themselves, where they build out new institutions to try and help as many children as possible, right? So what I like personally is, apart from a sharp focus on business, what has helped Lenskart grow its revenue aggressively while cutting down cost is the ramping up the backward integration that they are doing. They started home services, free trial, which were the linchpin strategies to drive volume and customer acquisition, and they have consistently erased their losses year on year, right, via cost cutting. So then they went offline, they opened physical stores, expanded franchisees, and cemented its bonding with the customers, right? And recently the revenue juggernaut has been gathering steam, and the bleeding has been slowed down sequentially, right? And that basically means it's all set to be one of the biggest consumer brands in India. So I am pretty hopeful of them.
Awesome. This was a fun business to talk about. I think that's it for today. Really enjoyed talking about Lenskart with you, Shantanu. Excited for our next company. Until then, goodbye everyone and have a great day. See you for the next one.
Goodbye.